The Baylor Bears are your national champs, cruising through the Final Four with a combined margin of victory of 35 points against Houston and Gonzaga. Baylor knocked down 21 threes in those two games and finished the season as the #1 3-point percentage offense in the country. What made them particularly unique was the combination of shooting and offensive rebounding. In recent seasons, the best shooting teams have been non-existent on the glass, but Baylor could do both. We saw that right away in the championship, with Mark Vital getting his own miss back twice before Davion Mitchell scored the first basket of the game. Vital finished the game with 8 offensive boards, tied for his season high. Gonzaga's defensive game plan was to cross-match. They put Corey Kispert on the 5-man Flo Thamba and Drew Timme on Vital. Kispert's the more switchable defender, so because Thamba is usually Baylor's ball screener, Kispert would switch the screens onto guards, while Timme could theoretically sag in the paint off of Vital. Here's an example from the second half of what Gonzaga probably wanted it to look like. Timme helping in the paint on the drive and daring Vital to shoot. But the problem was Baylor in response almost immediately started using Vital as a screener instead. And then their guards put on a ball screen clinic against Timme. Here Timme dropped back and Butler just split the screen. When Timme hedged, now that left the roll wide open. And then finally, with Kispert sucked in to help on the roll, Mitchell hit Butler for a shake 3. So now 10 minutes into the game, with the hedge getting exploited, the Zags chose to make a big adjustment, switching the ball screen instead and relying on Timme to defend guards one-on-one. We're going to pause the game right here for just a minute. We'll come back to this play, but before that, let's talk about the Baylor defense. The Bears are a no-middle team. I have a full video explaining that scheme already up on the channel, but here's an example against Houston. Flagler is aggressively forcing the ball baseline. The low man, Tchamwa Tchatchoua, helps outside the paint, and Mitchell and Meyer zone up on the weak side. Jalen Suggs struggled against this defense early. On the first play of the game, this is Teague's help. Mitchell doesn't want to leave Kispert in the ball side corner, but Suggs got tricked by the stunt, nearly turning the ball over. The next play was the opposite. Mitchell stepped up to take the charge, and Suggs held onto the ball for too long this time. Again, a baseline drive with the help stepping up. Mitchell is late on his drop to Ayahi here, but Teague blocks Suggs' shot. Going into the game, there are a couple potential advantages for the Zags. Baylor tends to aggressively focus their attention on the ball. Their help defenders literally face the ball, sometimes leaving them vulnerable to backdoor cuts. Meanwhile, Gonzaga happened to be one of the absolute best cutting teams in the country, but Baylor's length and ball pressure affected them early on. They were uncharacteristically sloppy on those cuts and passes. The other key matchup was ball screen defense. Baylor guards ball screens by putting 2 players on the ball. The game before it was extremely effective, with Fabian White struggling to be a playmaker out of the short roll for Houston. He couldn't take advantage of Baylor's aggression. But unlike Houston, Gonzaga had an All-American playmaker to pop or roll into the empty space. Timme even showed off that ability against UCLA. The very first play of overtime, the Zags went right to their pick and pop play to get Timme operating in space. Again, a skill that is seemingly very useful against the Baylor defense. But just like Suggs, Timme struggled with the Baylor ball pressure, committing turnovers out on the perimeter multiple times. He did get his patented fake dribble handoff for a layup one time in the first half. A move, by the way, that worked against other Big 12 opponents like West Virginia and Kansas this season. But for the most part, Tchamwa Tchatchoua's aggression paid off against Timme. He was just unable to get comfortable. Alright, so now back to where we left off. Remember, Gonzaga had just decided to switch all ball screens with Timme. Maceo Teague knocked down the 3, giving Baylor a 19-point first half lead. The Bears continued to ruthlessly attack Timme in ball screens, forcing the Zags to adjust yet again. This time going to a 2-3 zone for the next 4 minutes. The chess match between the two coaches continued, with Baylor now flashing guards in and out of the high post against the zone. After Teague hit 2 more jumpers, Gonzaga was forced right back to the switching man. On the final defensive possession of the half, they took Timme out of the game, forcing an air ball from Mitchell. Despite the major defensive issues, the offense at least started to look much more Gonzaga-like the final 10 minutes of the first half. They got out into transition for dunks. Nembhard found Timmy on a roll to the basket with Thamba on the ball. Suggs was still a little shaky against the pressure, but did make Mitchell pay for it by straight line driving right to the basket. Kispert caught Mitchell sleeping on a backdoor cut, and Ayahi kept the possession alive with one of his signature offensive rebounds. A bucket from Anton Watson pulled the Zags within 10 at halftime. The Zags kept it going offensively to start the second half, getting wide open layups by attacking Thamba in ball screens. Then with 14:43 left, Tchamwa Tchatchoua picked up his fourth foul, forcing Scott Drew to play small with Vital at the 5. Timmy took advantage of the small ball lineup right away, getting his easiest basket of the game. But even through that 15 minutes of the game where the Zags were generating a lot of easy buckets, they never really made a dent in the lead. The closest they got was within 9 points. And that's because of just how good the Baylor guards were offensively. Butler, Mitchell, and Teague combined for 56 points and 12 assists. If Gonzaga went zone, one of them would nail a deep three. If Gonzaga went man and tried to defend ball screens without switching, the guards would split the screens or find Tchamwa Tchatchoua on the roll for a lob. And then when Gonzaga did switch, they attacked the mismatch one-on-one. It really didn't matter which Gonzaga player was guarding the ball. A big, a small, a mismatch, or no mismatch. When Mitchell, Butler, and Teague went one-on-one against Gonzaga guards, they were actually even more efficient than going at the bigs, combining to shoot 9 for 16 from the field. With the ball handler blowing by Gonzaga's defenders, great three-point shooters spotted up along the perimeter, and Vital lurking in the paint for offensive rebounds, Baylor had an answer for every Gonzaga adjustment. They finished the game scoring 1.26 points per possession, giving them the most efficient performance by a Zags opponent since 2016. And then they clinched the game for good with a couple swarming defensive plays we've grown accustomed to over the last 2 seasons. Here, Teague deflected the pass, saved the ball, and then scrambled all the way to the other side of the court to contest a three. On this one, Tchamwa Tchatchoua fell down hedging the screen, but still gave the second effort to scramble back to even and help on the baseline drive. Thank you all so much for watching my videos throughout the season. I have some big off-season videos that I've been planning for a long time now that I'm really excited to start making. So please, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, even share your favorite video from the season on social media or with a friend. Our Hoop Vision newsletter will have more updates on what's coming content-wise in the off-season, and see you in the next one.
Well, that's the end of the season. That's crazy.